Ever been in the grocery store, staring at the egg section, and just had that moment of pure confusion? You know? The one where you're looking at the brown eggs, then the white eggs, and you're like, hold up, why are these different colors? And why are the brown ones always a little more expensive? That little side eye you give the egg carton, wondering if you're getting played, that's exactly where we're starting today. We're going to crack this case wide open. So let's get right to the first big reveal, the thing that blows most people's minds. The color of an eggshell, whether it's brown or white, has nothing to do with the egg itself being a different type. It's all about the chicken that laid it. Think of it like hair color for humans. According to the USDA, the rule of thumb is pretty simple. Chickens with white feathers and white earlobes, like the classic white leghorn hens, typically lay white eggs. On the other hand, chickens with reddish-brown feathers and red earlobes, like Rhode Island Reds or Plymouth Rocks, are the ones laying those brown eggs. It's a genetic thing, plain and simple. The hen's breed determines the pigment that gets deposited on the shell as the egg is being formed. For brown eggs, that pigment is called protoporphyrin X, which comes from the same stuff that makes your blood red. So, it's not a sign of health or special nutrients. It's literally just chicken genetics doing their thing. Now for the million-dollar question, the one that probably brought you here, are brown eggs actually healthier? The short answer, nah, not really. Nutritionally speaking, brown eggs and white eggs are basically twins. According to the Egg Nutrition Center, if the hens are fed the same diet, their eggs will have nearly identical amounts of protein, fat, vitamins, and minerals. So if they're not healthier, why does everyone and their grandma seem to think brown eggs are the gold standard? It really boils down to two things: marketing and vibes. Seriously, it's a psychological game. Brown eggs often look more rustic, more farm-to-table, double quotes. They have this earthy, natural aesthetic that makes our brains automatically go, oh, this feels healthier, more organic. We associate the color brown with whole wheat bread and brown rice. So we subconsciously lump brown eggs into that same good-for-you category. As Harvard Health has pointed out, this perception is super powerful, even when the science just shrugs and says they're the same. Marketers know this, and they lean into it hard. The packaging for brown eggs often features images of happy chickens roaming in green pastures, reinforcing that wholesome, all-natural image, even if the chickens were raised in conditions identical to the ones laying white eggs. Let's talk about the price tag, because your wallet definitely notices a difference. Brown eggs almost always cost more, and you might assume it's because they're superior in some way. But the real reason is way more practical and has everything to do with the chickens themselves. The breeds of hens that lay brown eggs are often larger than the hens that lay white eggs. They're just bigger birds. And what do bigger birds do? They eat more. It costs the farmer more money in feed to raise and maintain a flock of brown-laying hens. That extra cost of production gets passed right on to you, the consumer, at the checkout line. So you're not paying a premium for a healthier egg. You're essentially just covering the grocery bill for a bigger chicken. It's basic farm economics. Okay, but what about the taste? Can you actually taste a difference? This is where things get interesting. In blind taste tests, the vast majority of people cannot tell the difference between a brown egg and a white egg. The flavor of an egg isn't determined by its shell color. It's almost entirely influenced by two other factors: the hen's diet and the freshness of the egg. A chicken that's been munching on a varied diet with lots of greens and bugs is going to produce a richer tasting egg than a chicken fed a standard grain-based diet. And of course, a fresh egg from a local farm is going to taste way better than an egg that's been sitting on a supermarket shelf for weeks, regardless of its color. So, if you ever think you taste a difference, you're likely tasting the effects of the hen's lifestyle, not the shell pigment. Another myth we need to bust is the idea that brown shells are tougher or stronger. You'll hear people say this all the time, that they're harder to crack. But again, this has nothing to do with the color. Shell thickness is determined by the age and health of the hen. Younger hens, at the peak of their egg-laying cycle, tend to lay eggs with thicker, stronger shells. As a hen gets older, her eggs often get larger, but the amount of shell material she produces stays the same. So the shell gets stretched thinner and becomes more fragile. A hen's diet, particularly her calcium intake, also plays a huge role. So, If you get a white egg that feels super sturdy and a brown egg that cracks if you look at it too hard, it's all about the hen that laid it, not the color itself. Now, while the shell color doesn't matter, there is a color you should pay attention to: the yolk. Ever crack open an egg and find a pale, light yellow yolk, and then another time you get one that's a deep, vibrant orange? That color difference actually means something. The yolk color is a direct reflection of the hen's diet. A deep orange yolk indicates that the hen's feed was rich in compounds called carotenoids, which are found in things like marigold petals, alfalfa, and fresh green plants. Chickens that are pasture-raised and get to forage for their own food often have these beautiful dark yolks. While a darker yolk does mean more of certain nutrients, like vitamin A and omega-3 south, it doesn't automatically make the egg better across the board. It just tells you a little story about what that chicken was eating. A pale yellow yolk isn't a sign of a bad egg. It just means the hen was likely fed a standard corn or grain-based diet. It's also kind of cool to see how this whole preference thing plays out globally. In the United States, especially in certain regions, brown eggs have become synonymous with premium or organic. But in other parts of the world, the opposite is true. In some countries, pure white eggs are seen as cleaner and more desirable. It's all about culture and tradition. What people grew up seeing in their family's kitchen often becomes their standard for what a good egg looks like. It just goes to show you how much of our food choices are driven by perception and habit rather than cold, hard facts. So, what's the bottom line here? When you're standing in that grocery aisle, faced with a wall of choices, what should you do? The truth is, when it comes to brown versus white eggs, you should just pick whatever works for you. If you're on a budget, grabbing the less expensive white eggs is a perfectly smart choice. You're not sacrificing any nutritional value. If you love the rustic look of brown eggs in your carton and you do want mind paying a little extra, go for it. Your scrambled eggs will be just as delicious. If you really want to level up your egg game, stop focusing on the shell color and start looking at the other labels on the carton. Words like pasture-raised, free-range, or organic tell you more about the hen's living conditions and diet than the shell color ever will. Eggs from pasture-raised hens, for example, often have that richer flavor and darker yolk we talked about because the chickens are eating a more natural, varied diet. The best way to find out what you like is to experiment. Buy a carton of standard white eggs one week, and the next, try some pasture-raised brown eggs from a local farm. See if you can actually taste and see the difference for yourself. The next time you're shopping, you'll be armed with the secret knowledge. The color of the shell isn't the flex. It's not the indicator of quality or health. The real difference, the stuff that actually matters for taste and nutrition, is all about the freshness of the egg, the farming style, and what the hen was eating, so you can confidently make your choice without falling for the marketing hype. You're officially an egg expert. Thanks for hanging out and cracking this mystery with me. If you learned something new, hit that like button and subscribe for more deep dives into the food we eat every day. See you in the next one.